In the bass fishing world, you've heard the jig head minnow, hover rig, the Mickey rig, hover strolling, mid strolling, all this stuff about the minnow style baits. But guys, there are time to throw the hover rig and a time to throw the jig head minnow. And we're about to talk about that from a recent trip where they crushed the hover rig but would not eat the jig head minnow. So I'm going to share this to you to help you guys when you go out and fish on your weekend or whatever day week you get to go. Guys, welcome to the Fishing Coach YouTube channel. I am Coach E. And guys, the whole rage I know through the last year has been this guy. Now, this guy too has been catching fish. The thing about this, I'm going to say from the beginning, this catches fish anywhere. Now, this is a core tackle hover rig, okay? Now, this can too anyway. You can go score ball head, jig head, deal, whatever. But this, I know for me, is more forward-facing sonar base. I made this a forward-facing sonar tool, but guys, we have so many people we know that bank fish, pond fish, go flip, fish the bank, and catch fish with the hover rig. So, this right here got my interest when I was getting with the forward-facing sonar and trying to learn it. And last summer, I caught a lot of fish with it. Not really particularly with this bait on here. This is just the one I had on the other day we're about to talk about. But I put Magnum worms on, like Magnum finesse worms. You heard the crawl baits flipping in the bushes and stuff and shallow flats for the spring. And then, of course, fluke style baits. But last year was a fluke style bait for me and like a Magnum finesse worm type of bait. And then this guy kind of became the rage, and I was trying to learn it last summer, and I just didn't do as good with it, didn't have the confidence, but I was catching a lot of fish with this. Now here we are in the summer, I've had some really good days with this, and then there's days they just don't want to eat it. And a lot of guys I know I talk to are trying to throw this, they can't get fish to eat it, they're just following it. Guys, and then when that's happening, when you're throwing at fish and they're actually interested in the jig head and they're following it, they're not eating it, then it's time to pick up the hover rig. I learned that from this summer on a couple of my on-the-water lesson trips where I go in people's boats, help set their units up, teach through that. We go with the forward-facing sonar if they got it, and go use it to go catch fish. And I had a trip the other day at Hamilton, and I've had a couple other trips, but this one was a pretty good trip. They didn't eat this. I mean, we caught a couple fish with the jig head minnow, but guys, they crushed this. And part of it was I threw this enough at a couple fish they weren't eating it. And I told the guys, like, there are days when they eat this, days when they don't. I'll tell you that right now. And you're going to know when they're going to eat it. And when they are eating it, it's hard to beat, okay? But they always don't eat it. It's like worms. Like, they might want a big worm one day, might want a jig, might want a crankbait. You kind of got to go through your process. So with the hover rig, I then tied this on, and all of a sudden, they were chewing it. But I was fishing this different than this. When you fish this, you hear about the shake and bacon, I call it the shake and bacon, but you're reeling it, you're reeling it and hopping that rod. This, you can fish that the same way, but also you can fish this like a traditional fluke. So when you fish with a traditional fluke though, it creates that roll with the weight distributed through there, and you're hopping it, and it's more of a darting, kind of strolling action, to where this is more you're shaking, it's staying above the fish, or you can fish this above brush piles and trees too. You don't always got to just, guys, watch fish with this. I mean, people caught fish with this way before forward facing. But with this, you're kind of, it's more of that gliding action. And that day, the fish wanted that gliding action. So I'm sharing that with you of if you're throwing this and they're not eating it, or maybe you're throwing the hover rig and they're not eating it, then you can go to this. It's kind of like a 1-2 punch scenario, and that's just kind of my deal with it. Now this, you can fish this 10-15 foot, but it does take a little while to go there. If you're in cleaner water, like my smallmouth guys up north, where y'all are really, really good with the hover strolling technique, and we've kind of brought it down here to the south. Clear water, they'll come up and eat it. But guys, so there was a time to throw this and of course this one. So another thing, let's talk about the areas with it though. The other day when we were catching fish with this, it was at Lake Hamilton. We were fishing flats where the channels, it's a creek channel or your main river channel, or nearby. So it'd be like 30 foot, 40 foot, then 20, 15. These groups of fish have been on these flats. A front came through. Of course that helped. Front fired them up. These fish were on their flats, and then they started roaming. And of course, when there's bait around, they go to eat bait. We'd see it under the water. At times they'd school, but mainly they were under the water. We'd still caught some fish on the actual flats of the drop with the ledges, but a lot of them were just swimming around. They're swimming around though in that anywhere from 5 to 10 foot water column. You could be in 30 to 40 near that flat, but they were 5 to 10 foot under. So we're throwing this past them, working it. Then I just kind of let it sink towards them. They just come up there and you just twitch, kill it, and all of a sudden they eat it. But with this, you never really stop it. You always work. You could throw this through those groups of fish, guys, work, wouldn't not touch it. And it's not a deal where you're like, Jimmy, they've been seeing it. No, that's just not what they wanted that day to trigger them, guys. And so had a fun day with the core tackle hover rig with a freeloader right here. I've, guys, like I said earlier, throwing this on the fluke style baits, worm style baits. Now, tackle though, let's talk about tackle. Okay, about tackle. Let's over here. I like throwing these on, I'm now throwing them on medium light rods. Been throwing the jig head minnow on medium light rod, but I've now kind of gone that hover rig to kind of give it more action to it, okay? Right here, this is a 1/8 ounce hover rig, 3/0 hook, okay? I'm throwing a 7-1 medium light level NGX series. I put a link of these in the description, guys. Love these rods. I've been throwing them now for about a month. I'm going to braid a fluoro. I'm going, I think it's 10-pound braid, and then my leader is 12-pound fluorocarbon, okay? And I think that's it right there for my gear. So guys, I want now to ask you, how's a hover rig been working for y'all if y'all throwing it? Or jig head minnow, and if you're a jig head minnow guy. I've had so many people want to learn this on the forward facing trips, and I go back and forth because they want to learn this too, and I try to teach them, but there's situations where this works and this works. Now, if they're eating this, we go throw and catch them. But once again, there is a time they do not eat this guy. But once again, guys, what is y'all's favorite bait with a core tackle hover rig? Okay, I would have some footage for y'all. I should have said it earlier, but I didn't have my chest camera on me that day. Like I said, the front kind of came through, thought some rain was going to hit us, and just decided I was going to leave it in the truck. And of course, the days I leave my camera in the truck, they eat. Okay, they eat. All right, so appreciate it, guys. We're now going to go into the Faith Juice segment. Here we are, guys, on the Faith Juice segment of the episode. Of course, I forgot to film one right there, live action, but I'm gonna share with you guys a couple things real quick. First is, look, we got Faith Juice hats, got some gear for the Faith Juice. Shout out to the Howards, my dudes down there, my guys down there in Nashville, Arkansas. They're down supporting, as y'all guys see. Got the Faith Juice gear, and I actually got some gear, so if y'all see me at a thing I'm going to be speaking at, or here just out and about, I'm going to be able to share with you guys some Faith Juice gear and attire. I've actually had a few people that have watched the YouTube channel that's from Arkansas run into me, and lately the 3 guys I've ran into mentioned the Faith Juice segment is something they enjoyed and said thank you for. So it's big time. It means a lot, guys, and just for me to get so much positive feedback that I've gotten on this segment. So I'm going to share with you guys something today about decisions. This is going to be a quick one. Making good decisions. Making good decisions as men, as ladies, as adults, and as young kids, because I got teenagers watching this too. But when you make good decisions, let's try to make that a habit, okay? Because it can be a habit, as in, like, I know in football, we always said, hey, when you get on a roll, you get a drive going, you score, get another drive going, you're on a roll, or you get a couple first downs. Well, that can be the same with decision making. You make a good decision here, good decision there. You're going to continue to make good decisions. But one thing about making decisions, guys, Proverbs 3:5-6 says, submit. I just went blank. I'm not the best with memorizing scripture, but the scripture, guys, Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, to not lean on your understanding, but to lean on Him, and He will make your path straight. Now, with that, I kind of think of that on making decisions. And this could be big decisions, small decisions, but I think every decision you make will add up. And sometimes those decisions you make will affect you years and years to come. It might not just be right now. And when you're asking Him to help Him, with decision making, and like I said, help you make your paths clear. You don't know what that path's going to be, guys. We don't know. I always thought when I was younger I'd have it figured out, but nah, here I am. And it's like my father-in-law told me. I know they sometimes watch the show, but it's like my father-in-law told me. It's like, you'll never have any idea what you're doing when you're 30, 40, 50. You just got to go and every day make good decisions. And then when you make bad decisions, you got to overcome them. And guys, and sometimes with decision making, it can be on who you hang out with. If you hang around negative people at work, then that can, of course, affect you on decision making. But if you hang around positive people and around other people that make good decisions, and of course that will help you with it as well. So guys, work on making the good decisions. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming to the Fishing Coach YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next one.